So before I jump into the applicant experience, what I'm going to show you is a couple of analytics that you have in all of your assessments. So there's an analytics section called Applicant Pipeline. So I know with your school, you have an integration where you select with the integration, like the applicants will automatically get a Kira link at a certain stage of the application. So you're not going in and inviting the applicants to Kira. But if you're coming in and you were ever inviting them through Kira, you can, and we want to come in here to train an assessment, you can see what stage each of your applicants are at. So if you've invited 100 people, you can see who's not started, which means they haven't even opened their email. We can see who's opened their email. We can see who's come in here and registered but hasn't completed anything else. We can see who's come in here and completed their practice, and then who's completed the full assessment. And I'll show you the practice and the applicant experience now, and you'll see these 5 steps in the experience too. But that's just so you can see exactly what your applicant pool looks like. If it's coming up to your deadline, just to see where people are sitting. Typically, if you give them 2 weeks to do the assessment, I would say probably 95 to 96% will do it on the last day. If you give them 4 weeks, I would say 95 to 96% will do it on the last day. It's just a trend we see. I don't know, no matter how long you give them, they will still all probably do it on the last day as well. So you'll see a lot of people, if you're looking at this way and you're like a week before your deadline and you're seeing 50% of people still sitting in email opened, I wouldn't be too alarmed, because they just all tend to do it on their last day, even though they've been told not to, in case they run into any tech issues or anything.
Yeah, it's not a question, but I know that just like, I don't know, this is about the admission, just like the students goes and then apply and they will pay the money and they will submit the application. Can we make like that they cannot submit the application until they finish this interview? If we required some, just like PhD students, to do it, and we say that, okay, before you submit the application, this interview should be this, in the Kira they should go and then complete that video or whatever the Kira interview. Can you make?
Liz, where is the integration set up? Is it after?
No, you have to do it on submit. So we can't invite applicants unless we have an application for them. So there's 2 options that you have when you set up your assessment, and it's in the survey, but you can invite all your applicants to submit an interview. So that means anybody who submits an app for your program will get an email on submit inviting them to Kira. Your second option is you can pre-select students. So maybe you don't want everybody to do an interview. Maybe you just want to interview your top candidates. So then you can either invite them out of Kira, or there's a button in Salesforce on the app that says invite to Kira. So if you're reviewing someone, they're like, oh, they got a great GPA, you know, we want to interview them, see if they're going to be a good fit for the program. You can click the button and they'll get an invite at that point.
That means we cannot tell to the applicants that, you know, without, because this is now, it looks like an option for them. We cannot make them mandatory that I cannot review your application until you finish Kira. We can't tell that, right? Because they have already.
You can make it mandatory if you want to, as a part of your application process. But this is just a way for you to interview applicants virtually. So, you know, a lot of programs will interview applicants after they review the application, and then they're like, okay, now it's interview time. But you can really kind of do whatever you want. It's just when setting up your assessment, we can put those options in, but you probably can't do it before they submit an application.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions before I look at the reviewer ratings analytics? Okay, so the next type of analytic you can track is your reviewers rating. So we can track if your reviewers need to basically be retrained. So we can track if someone's reviewing too hard or if they're reviewing too easily. So for example, if we want to come into the training assessment here, well, there's only been one reviewer because it's me logged in as Christine. But if there was someone who was constantly reviewing and giving exceptional scores, they would be up here highlighted in orange. Or if they were given poor scores, they would be up here highlighted down here highlighted in poor. and then they would be an average between all reviewers. So this is more so you can see if people are new to using Kira, if they're reviewing way too easy or if they're reviewing way too hard. But you can also track this by question. So sometimes maybe someone reviews way too hard on one question or way too easy. So if you come in here and you see that everyone is given an exceptional review to this question, maybe we need to change the question because it's too easy. So it's another way of kind of just checking the solidness of your questions as well. And you can look at it as the overall fit or as each competency too. That can be looked at an assessment level as well. And you'll only see the assessments you have access to. I won't open any of the rest of these because they're other people's assessments, but just when you see on the training, they will be highlighted if they're above or below average in orange. The final one we have, which I mentioned previously, is reviewer progress. And what this does is track when your reviewers last logged in and reviewed someone in Kira, how many people they have been assigned to review, how many people they have reviewed, and how many people they have remaining. So this is helpful that if you have like a week before the deadline of when you want to get offers out and you still have 20 applicants who haven't been reviewed in Kira, you can see what reviewers have left applicants to review and maybe give them a nudge to review them, or you can assign them to someone else to review. You'll see here that the last time Christine logged in was today, the 6th of August, so the last time she reviewed someone, because that was me. Logged in as Christine, but if you have 10 faculty reviewing, this is just a really good way of managing how many people have left to review and just kind of been able to give your faculty like just a deadline for reviewing as well and just been able to track them here. So if there's no questions, what I'm going to do now is invite myself as an applicant and complete Kira as an applicant, just to show you what the applicants see. Is there any questions before I jump into that? So we have one here in the chat.
Oh yeah, can applicants watch their videos, Neve?
No, so they can watch, and you'll see it when we do the applicant part, and they can watch their practice videos as many times as they want, and they can record their practice as many times as they want, because we don't actually record them. We don't keep them. They're just for the applicants to practice and get comfortable. But no, they get one chance to do each question, unless they email you and you offer them a retake and let them do it that way. But yeah, so basically what you have mentioned, Chip, here is they can request to resubmit videos if they've done something by mistake. They sometimes email us, our support team, our applicant support team, with that request, but we never grant that unless you say we can. The only time we'd ever really recommend that is if you can go in, you can see the applicant maybe did something by accident, because a lot of the time they're been recorded on video. Or if you're just feeling, I suppose, a little bit generous. We don't recommend just giving retakes out to everyone because, again, in the interest of fairness for every applicant, if you give 5 people a retake and 5 people didn't get a retake, you're just giving a bit of an advantage to some others as well.